I didn't expect this, but then again I did.
So what we've been talking about, you have things that you desire that sometimes you can't even identify in that way.
It's just a second ago I said I'm gonna be the first person up there.
Really? So that means you were in the receiving mode, and that's why you light it up. Yeah, that really matters. You know, when that thought occurs to you, that thought that he just said that he just thought, you know, that happens to you all the time, doesn't it? When that thought occurs, that means that vibration is beginning to turn to the thing that you want. And when it comes into your conscious realization, that matters a lot. That means so much. You just witnessed that. You just witnessed something that occurred to him that manifested in the moment that it occurred to him. That's big.
I knew without a doubt. It just was like, oh,
without a doubt. Those are really good words. I knew without a doubt. Doubt is resistance, isn't it? I knew because there was no doubt.
So I got a big curiosity about space and how big it is. You know, it just goes forever and ever 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 and ever.
I wish we had a bigger word than big. Big, bigger, biggest.
So I'm fascinated when I think about it and start visioning how far out in space you can go and go and go and go and go and go. So I'm curious, what's all that there for? If Source is so focused on the earth life, do we also entertain physical experiences in all that other space?
Yes, there's a lot of that going on.
Is it human form? What we consider the human body form?
Well, there is nothing that you consider going on out there the way you consider it, because you're not out there considering it.
All right.
But those who are out there considering it are considering it, and they have the same questions about you. But there's a big thing that we like to say to all of you, no matter which galaxy we are flowing into. We like to say to all of you, mind your own business.
So are we experiencing physical in that vastness of space?
Yes. Be more specific in your question. We meaning who?
Do I go hang out somewhere else sometimes?
Not much.
Like some other planet, some other center of a galaxy?
We want to say to you that these questions come from those of you, and we mean this kindly, who are not really integrated and experiencing life the way you intended to hear. In other words, it's sort of like, rather than cleaning up your own yard, you're looking over the fence at what they got going on over there. When there's so much potential in your own yard, but you're bored with your own yard. It's been sort of looking the way it's been looking for quite a long time, and it's no longer ringing your bells, and you've got all that resistance about it. And so sometimes you just are weary of looking at what you are about, so you want to look someplace else. We are not wanting to shrink your thoughts. We're not wanting you to be less insightful about the vastness of all of this. We just want to express in a way that you can really hear the satisfaction and the power of focus, of focusing on what you're about. And this is specifically for you. You get yourself into alignment and you get yourself into the receiving mode, as you often do and as you just did. And in that receiving mode, all kinds of things will flow to you about anything that is of interest to you, because there is no question that is off limits. And we are not for a moment wanting to say to you that you do not have the right or the interest or the ability or the eagerness or the value in focusing on all of those other things. We just want you to master the receptive mode, and then anything that occurs to you, you can begin to experience. In other words, we are focused through Esther from another dimension altogether, and you all have the ability to have this experience. And the way that Esther accomplished that was by focusing herself into a vibration that allowed that. And so we're not trying to talk you out of intertwining with what you can't see. In fact, that's our whole message here today. We're wanting to talk you into intertwining with what you can't see. If you will begin to accept these other galaxies, this vastness of space, as a vibrational reality that yes, you do have access to, but don't try to turn it into the physical before you have tuned yourself to the frequency of its non-physical. And once you are a master at tuning yourself to the frequency of its non-physical, then it or they, whatever you want to call that, can begin to express through you. And you can have the full experience of all of that. But stop looking around for little bones in the backyard that come from other spacecrafts, because that's not the way you are interacting intergalactically.
All right. I get it.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Really good.
Yeah.
Enough?
I got it.
Enough.
All right.
Something else?
Yeah, so I think that the difference that I'm trying to figure out right there is, like, there's like the to-do list, there's these things that we've got to get done, and there's like a action piece to it, and then there is just what you just said, just letting go of that. Because I know exactly what it feels like when I'm in that flow, when the people come to us, when it's working out perfectly. But somehow I have been, I guess maybe because it's a transition, it's new, and I feel like I got to stick to my to-do list. I got to get my stuff done.
Don't give yourself any excuses, because of course it's all those things, but it's something deeper than that. The thing that is deeper, you hit on in your first words to us. I didn't take the time to make sure I was there before I received the inspiration. Let's put it in a different way. We've never said this before. I got my inspiration from someplace other than my alignment. I was inspired, motivated is a better word for it, but I got my inspiration from need, or I got my inspiration from the people who we merged with, or I got my inspiration from, I'm looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm looking for inspiration in all the wrong places. I'm letting the wrong things, when it's off from that core beginning, it's going to stay off for a while until you feel like this, and then you're asking a bigger question. That resonates completely with you, doesn't it? It's sort of like, this is going to sound like a scanty analogy, but it really says it like it is. It's like buying a wonderful contraption that has the ability to do a lot of things for you, and it's got a battery in it, but you're too busy to put the battery in it. So you didn't put the battery in it, but you've got the instruction book out and you're doing everything else. You're pushing all the right buttons, you're doing every single thing that the manual says, and the damn thing is not giving you the results that you want because you didn't put the battery in it. You didn't hook up to the power. You didn't hook up to the energy. And so do that first thing. Put the battery in. When you wake up in the morning, get the power turned on. Get the power turned on. And then once you're in sync with that, ideas will start flowing. Ideas will start flowing, and oh, do they feel good when they flow. We understand what it's like to be fully integrated in life with so many demands being made of you, and feeling like you need to respond to those demands. Jerry would say to Esther, let's meditate and then take a walk, and Esther would say, I don't have time to do that. See my list? This is the list that I'm using to justify my existence today, and nowhere on it does it have time for that. And we say you don't have time not to do that, because when you turn the power on, then you've got this leverage. Then you're tapped in to the universal Google. You're tapped into the universal navigational system. You're tapped into the universal concierge in the sky. You're tapped in to all of the right impulses and all the right timing and all of the right things that come out of your mouth. You're tapped into all of that. But until you do that, you're just sort of bumbling around on an equal par with the other crazy people that you share your world with.
Yeah.
You see,
100%.
your contraptions are feeding you constant information from others. Turn them off for a little while. Turn them off for a little while and get in alignment. You don't allow yourself what feels to you like the luxury of tuning in to your receptive mode, and yet everything that you want will come from that, and nothing that you want will come without it. It's just puny, paltry bits and pieces and snatches of the good stuff that you want while the flow, the true flow, you are depriving yourself of. Don't you think it is interesting that as you compiled your things that you wanted to talk about, that the very first thing that you were inspired to say is the only thing that we're saying back to you? In other words, you've got it, you know it. We have just spent this time wanting to put it into perspective for you so that you will benefit from this easy decision of alignment first and whatever you are inspired to later. You see, you put all of the pieces into your vortex, and your inner being knows every one of them, how they fit together, and how all of that fits together with everyone else. In other words, your inner being knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want and what the path of least resistance is to get you to it. And so the more you have listened to us and the more that you have lived life, the more when you are not up to speed, in other words, even as we have these conversations and you are listening in, more is going into the vortex. Don't you feel just from this conversation a whole lot of resolve happening within you? Didn't you feel yourself putting more into the vortex? Aren't you more clear about who you are and what you want? And don't you feel more of a determination to hook up with this energy that creates worlds and experience the leverage of that power? And don't you remember those times when you've been in that flow and how things felt to you? And what we want to emphasize is that's the way life is supposed to feel for you. And because it has felt that way for you from time to time, frequently in many cases, it's felt that way to you, and now you have that conscious realization of it. In other words, this is your knowledge. Then when you defy your own knowledge, it feels extra off. And that's exactly where you are. And that's where Esther was this week too. She was so mad that she was mad. She was so mad that she was mad. And she was so mad that it became so clear to her that she'd made a decision, not from here, but from here. So mad at herself when we say that's not step 5. Step 5 is being back in step 1 and not being mad at yourself for being back in step 1. Step 5 is understanding that this mastery is something that you're accomplishing all of the time, and that there's no right or wrong to it. There's just more alignment and less alignment and more alignment and less alignment. And it's sort of like when you get used to things feeling really good, you want to throw a little fit when they don't feel good. And we don't want you to adapt to not feeling good. We think the fit is better. Did we get there for you?
All the way.
This is a really good time for a segment of reflection.